Hey, what's up everyone? Adam here with brahwegotthis, and today we're going to compare and contrast New World to ESO. We're going to discuss the question that I have been getting in my chat a lot, or just people that have been asking me in general, which is, as an ESO player, will I like New World? And you could also ask the question of, if I'm an MMO player, will I like New World? And this is a loaded question, and it has so many facets involved with it, and it's very difficult for me to explain that answer on stream, so I thought it would be a good idea if I made a detailed video trying to break down and help those players understand or decide if New World is something they will like. Real quick, I want to give a massive shout out to the patrons in the channel. Thank you so much for supporting. If you'd like to become a patron, check out the link below in the description. I just revamped it and added more rewards. You can check all that below in the description. And you can follow me on Twitter, and you can watch me play live at twitch.tv/brahwegotthis. And we have a very helpful Discord. The links to all that are down below. Okay, so I know that New World versus ESO is a very sensitive topic when it comes to a lot of players in the ESO community. For some reason, us MMO players, or us as gamers as a whole, when we see another game that is in the same genre or close to it, we feel not necessarily threatened, but we want to put up our guard against giving that game a chance. We don't want the game that we play and love so dearly to fall off and diminish to the new game, and so what we do is we try to defend the game we're playing and not play the other game that has been released religiously a lot from what I've seen. I think if you were to ask yourself if you do this, you would want to say no because you don't want to admit it, but I've come to realize that that was me about 2 months ago, and I'm sitting here telling you that I admit that I used to do this, and I still do this with games because, again, when you have a game that you love, you just want to defend it no matter what. I really didn't want to play New World or even like New World 2 months ago. There's something about my pride and, people's pride in general is whenever we see a new game, we see everyone rush over to play it, and it sometimes annoys us or myself when I see people just bounce from game to game because it seems like they only want to ride the wave of a game that is popular or just whatever is popular in general. But sometimes I think that mindset can backfire, and we don't give certain games or, any sort of thing in life a chance because we don't want to make it seem like we're following the crowd by playing something that's popular or by doing something that's popular, when in reality, sometimes these new games or new things in life are actually pretty good. I think that this is a solid description of myself, and maybe some players in the ESO community, I can't say that for sure, but I can say for myself, this is a solid description of how I felt about New World. But I gave the game a chance in the open beta, and I really enjoyed it. So I get a lot of questions of would I like New World as an ESO player, and to answer this we need to break down a few things regarding what New World does differently and similarly to ESO so you can somewhat comprehend and compare and have some sort of baseline. Because I will say that deciding whether or not you'll like this game is not necessarily dependent on the systems, but dependent on what you enjoy in MMOs in general. So to start out, New World is an open world MMO PvP focused game. But what a lot of players don't seem to understand is you can actually opt out of PvP in New World. You don't have to participate in the PvP side of things at all. I've seen people say, well, I don't know if I would like this because it looks like Cyrodiil and ESO, and that's true in some ways, but in Cyrodiil, you can't opt out of PvP. Okay, imagine going into Cyrodiil and not having to worry about players killing you while harvesting resources, doing quests, and PvE material. That's what you can have in New World. Now, when it comes to the faction PvP side of things in New World, it bodes well for your faction to control zones because when they do, they can set the taxes, the crafting fees, property tax, and give you other bonuses and, discounts with higher crafting tables or all sorts of other things like fast travel. It affects the game essentially. But if your faction doesn't control it, it's not necessarily the end of the world because you can still have other factions that increase the crafting stations, and they may not put a crazy tax on the actual zone, so you can still reap the benefits from someone controlling the zone. I know some ESO players may not understand what I'm saying, but just know it's okay to not PvP in New World. You don't have to do that. Besides all the PvP though, if you opt out of this or opt in, you may ask, what is there to do in the game? What systems or what loops exist? What is the game based around? The game is not only a PvP focused game in some ways. The game is centered around a heavy, deep crafting system. It is the lifeblood of the game, and you can see this early on and throughout your playthrough. Everything, and I mean everything, is centered around this system. When I first saw that the game didn't have mounts or you had to run everywhere and there was, limited fast travel, I was like, nope, I wouldn't like the game. But as I put hours and hours into the game, I see why they don't have mounts. It just wouldn't work the same way. The system they have in place with crafting is so well made and designed, I'm just blown away. Normally you would be like, I have to travel to this city for this, and you wouldn't want to do it. But as you travel, you can't help but pick up resources, cut down trees, mine rocks, discover enemies, skin animals. It's just an addicting gameplay loop. And by the time you have made it to your destination, you haven't even thought about the travel time. You actually look forward to traveling because you're looking for that rare node that you want, or you just want to hear the sounds of the trees falling in the woods. And essentially, if I had to get off my mount every 2 seconds, I think it would really interrupt the gameplay loop, and it would actually break the immersion of the actual exploration and travel. It's honestly baffling how they have achieved this, in my opinion. I still can't get over this. And when it comes to fast traveling, it's not bad at all. You actually end up getting the currency for fast travel in almost like every quest. And by harvesting resources, you are constantly at the Azoth cap, which is the resource you use to fast travel. So you can basically fast travel all the time. You just have to be in a settlement or a fast travel location. So it's really not as bad as it looks. But not only is the harvesting side of things, crafting addicting, the actual crafting itself after that is so rewarding. There are a ton of professions in this game. When you go into towns, you just see people at the tables, and the satisfaction of crafting a piece of armor or weapons with amazing rolls is just so rewarding. Like, I love the fact that you craft things with random rolls. Like, I absolutely love that there's some randomness to the crafting, because that makes it just fun to me. Like, you can try to get a better thing crafted by just RNG, but also by the skill level that you have. The crafting in the game also drives some of the market from what I see right now in the auction houses, which I love. And as a former RuneScape player, I really love this side of the game. Now, I will get into the actual reason behind why this gameplay loop is so fun for me and rewarding later in the gameplay loop section, but I want to express to you all, if you like systems like this, I think you will enjoy New World. When you look at ESO's crafting system, I feel it is a great system. I don't think ESO needs to mimic New World in this sense. I think they have a unique fun system on their own. I believe players think that it needs to be one or the other, but I really don't think that ESO's strong suit and selling point is the crafting system. I think the ESO selling point is what I'm about to go into next, and I think that is questing and PvE. So what does New World offer with questing and PvE? Well, questing in New World is your pretty standard MMO quests. It's pretty bad, honestly, when it comes to the immersiveness of the quest lines. I do love that the quests are voice acted, which is cool. And like I said, if it weren't for the exploration and crafting, going to the quest would be abhorrent. Like, I hate WoW questing because you run to a spot and run back, and that's what you do in New World. However, the journey to me in New World is so much more rewarding. Again, if they did not have the systems in place, it would be awful. ESO questing is the best of any MMO because every quest has weight and personality in every turn. I don't know all of ESO's lore, but I can tell you that questing, just from my basic knowledge, is miles beyond anything else in an MMO. If you're looking for a deep questing system as your main purpose of playing this game, you probably will not like New World on that front. When it comes to the PvE side of things, you kind of have to look at this from a few angles. The first glaring observation is obviously New World isn't going to have as much PvE content as ESO or other games because the game has been out for a week, whereas these other MMOs have been out for years. So going in, you can't expect there to be 50 dungeons and 10 raids. However, you can hopefully expect the PvE content to be enjoyable or have a fun gameplay loop tied to it. If that gameplay loop is actually good and enjoyable, then that can sustain you pretty long. ESO PvE has so much content to it that it takes a while for players to even go through all of it. The dungeons are enjoyable, especially the DLC dungeons, and the trials are fun as well. I think ESO's strong suit in their dungeons are the mechanics, because they are so well designed and well thought out, and they're challenging. ESO is also centered around set items, which are the catalyst to the creativity and the builds in the game. This is far different than any other MMO. Most MMOs are based around gear score, so with that, the grind in those games tend to lean towards getting higher gear score. In ESO, your goal is to not grind gear score, but to find the perfect trait on a set piece you need, or collect pieces that you don't have and make even more builds. ESO's PvE loop, you could say, is getting better and better at your build once you have it in your rotation and completing harder content with those rotations. That harder content then gives you cool achievements, dyes, cosmetics, and so forth. With New World, the PvE content that I have done has been fun. The overworld is interesting and I love just killing random mobs. I have completed the first dungeon. I've done some of the corrupted portals, which are kind of like world events, but I still feel that New World has some growth to do when it comes to certain PvE aspects. I think the content in general is fun, and I'm excited to explore some of the other dungeons. And something that I think is very neat is the fact that the crafting is still involved in doing the dungeons. In order to do a dungeon, you need to craft a key. Anyone in your group can use one of these, but essentially to get those key parts, you need to close corruption portals in the world and get the fragments for that and craft a key. I think that that's a really cool idea, and right now I'm actually enjoying that. I will say though that some of the group dynamics in PvE for New World need some work, or maybe it's just me, but needing to get used to it or something. But I'm playing as a healer right now, and I find it very difficult to tell like what buffs or debuffs are on the bosses or on your allies. I have trouble actually targeting my heals towards someone because it feels very janky in that sense. You also move like the speed of a snail when you have a staff out, which feels really weird to me. So right now, that's just a very brief overview of some of the changes, but there are some other changes I think I would like to see them make in the future, like quality of life changes for group play. But right now I know they're focusing on stability, bugs, and exploits for the time being. But to wrap up the PvE section, I actually like a gear score grind sometimes in some ways because it's something different that allows me to grind for something. I actually really enjoy the randomness of the rolls when it comes to the gear. I like the crafting randomness. When you craft something, you can craft something that's absolutely amazing roll on it, and you feel really awesome about it. You can sell it on the guild trader or you can keep it. I think to me right now, that loop is really fun. I can tell you though that obviously the content depth when it comes to the PvE side of things on New World is not there just because it is a very new game. So you have to kind of look at it differently in some cases. But right now in ESO, I feel like I've done so much in the game that I'm looking for something to grind. And New World right now is delivering on that itch. Now, when it comes to the combat, I think both games do a fantastic job with that side of things, and it feels very satisfying. New World's combat is very similar to ESO's, and it's a little more dumbed down and simplified. So I will say that if you like ESO's combat, I think you'll like New World's combat. There's still some clunkiness with New World's combat system right now, though, and I think they will address that, but I do think that it will transition well if you like ESO's combat. Now let's talk about cosmetics, because that's why we play MMOs, right? That's the only reason why I play MMOs. I want to look cool. New World obviously doesn't have as many cosmetics as ESO right now, and they don't have a full out outfit or transmog system really in place. Yes, you can apply skins to your armor or weapons, but those are skins you own via free things or purchased in the store. Right now, if you collect a piece of level 20 gear that you really like and you're level 45, you cannot put that level 20 gear look on that 45 look because it's just not available. I think this is something that they will probably address in the future. I would hope so, but that's something I think that is lacking in New World. ESO obviously has the motif system, and it is one of the best systems in any MMO. I love ESO's cosmetic system. However, you still can dye things in New World, just like in ESO. And the cool thing actually with that is you actually craft your dyes. Like I said, crafting is so big in this game. So with that, that still gives you some nice little options. And again, there are some really cool cosmetic looks in New World that I've found. And so I do like it. I just think it needs to be expanded upon. Now let's talk about why I'm having so much fun with this game and the gameplay loops involved that cause it to have fun and all the other supporting factors. And then I'm going to cover, will you have the same amount of fun as me, and will you like this game as a final verdict? For me, New World was a breath of fresh air. The game is beautiful. The world is fun to explore, and there are very addicting things in the game. Some of the key aspects that keep me coming back in the gameplay loops are the combat system. It feels very rewarding and fun to use. I absolutely love the crafting and the gathering system. This brings so much enjoyment from my RuneScape days because I just love how deep the system is. I love the fact that you can supply people with in-game gear or resources, and that the crafting system is woven in every aspect of the game. This is a key gameplay loop that I absolutely love. I love the actual things that you do in the world as well. Like I said, running to a town isn't a problem because I just love seeing the cool resources, the fauna, everything. It just looks so good. But something that really pulls it all together for me, that is a very minor thing in some ways, but is massive in other ways, is the audio design and the actual UI design. The UI design, first of all, is the best UI design I've ever seen in any MMO. You know, a lot of MMOs have awful UI design. I would say ESO has pretty solid UI design without any mods. WoW's is terrible. Final Fantasy is pretty bad in my opinion. BDO, I can't even talk about it. The BDO, I have no idea what they're even doing. The UI design in this game is fantastic. The menus look great. It's easy to navigate, and I didn't have much issue with that. The audio design is on another level. If you have played this game or have heard someone play this game, the sound that you make hitting a rock that echoes off of edges or things is fantastic. Cutting down a tree and hearing it fall in the woods is crazy. Opening the menus, completing quests, doing crafting, leveling up your weapons, even just getting the sound when you actually get mastery on your weapons. It's so satisfying. And those little aspects are really addicting and they really make you want to play the game. To me, that brings a lot of this together. I had some friends that basically said that this game to them is pretty good on every level in their opinion. They would rate it a 6 or a 7 out of 10 on every single aspect of the game. And they said that, you know, the audio and the UI really bring it together even more, but since it's solid on every aspect, it actually comes together as a really solid game. And I would actually really agree with that. I think in MMOs, it's really hard to accomplish that of being really solid in a lot of aspects. So you bring all those things together and you have a game for me that I am enjoying because of the grind, the exploration, and the overall feel of satisfaction from playing. Now, will I play New World every day for the next 2 years? I don't know. I understand that the content will run out as I play. It doesn't have endless content, but the point of an MMO from a developer standpoint is to keep updating the game with new things and things to do and fresh things to do. But if you truly take your time to explore this game, I think the fun in the game comes from actually playing and leveling up and enjoying the experience. I really think if you rush this game, just like any other MMO, you're gonna feel burned out and you're gonna just be like, where's the content? Well, you skipped all of it. I just really think that part of enjoying this game is taking your time. I just do. Now, as an ESO player, will you actually enjoy this game? If you're sitting here and you're like, Adam, what's the final verdict? Will I enjoy this? Well, I hope that some of the things that I just said will kind of help you make a decision, but the answer to this really is based on what you want out of a game or what you want out of an MMO. If you are looking for a story-driven, immersive questing game like ESO, you will not like this game, in my opinion. If you love harvesting, crafting, exploring, I think you will like the game. I think if you liked RuneScape at all, I think that this game will have some similarities, and I think you'll like part of it. If you love the combat of ESO and enjoy the PvP of ESO, I really think you will like this game. I've seen a lot of ESO PvPers that are loving New World. The PvP has seemed really smooth from what I've seen, and I haven't seen much server lag at all on a very populated server that I'm on. And the nice thing about all of this is the game is $40. So it's not a full price of a game. It has no sub to play, so you don't have to pay $15 a month to play the game like WoW or you know, any other MMO for the most part. So if you have some money that you can give it a try, I would. The only people that I would caution away from giving it a try are the people that only want story and quest content, and that is the driving force for them in playing ESO. Because I really feel that you will not like the game if you are that kind of person. So I hope that this helps you. I hope this video has been something that can maybe give you some insight on if you would like the game or if you wouldn't like the game. leave me a comment below letting me know what you think if you have tried the game, and if you have any questions below, I'll try to answer them. I don't know everything about this game. Like I said, I've played it for a week, but it's something that I'm really enjoying just kind of playing through. No, I am not quitting ESO. No, you know, I'm not gonna stop making content for ESO, but this is just a game that I've really been enjoying on a lot of off times. But again, make sure to like, subscribe, heavy attack that bell icon to stay up to date on all the content in the channel. You can always follow all my social links, and you can check out my streams and the website below. All that is in the description. But until next time, just remember to have faith, be great, and I'll see you on ESO.